Hello there, Hollywood fans. The movie industry has a way of being overtly self-indulgent. This may inspire disgruntled scoffs in any other business. But with the entertainment industry, it has been given a rather positive spin. When a piece of content refers itself or some other universe but chooses to not go into detail, then the reference is called an Easter egg. The nomenclature comes from the festival of Easter, mostly because movies have a habit of hiding these references in between their frames. Usually, there are hundreds of Easter eggs that creatives smartly hide for us to find in their films. Superhero movies are filled with them. So in the spirit of the egg hunt, here are 10 Easter eggs from the movies that everyone missed. Jurassic World, the red flares. The final act of Jurassic World gave us a massive dino battle between the Indominus Rex and the original Tyrannosaurus Rex. In the original Jurassic Park, the T-Rex was easily distracted by flares. It was eventually lured out by a goat for feeding time. And 22 years after that film, nothing changed. Clara asked Laurie to open the gate and she attracted the T-Rex towards the hybrid using a red flare. How she ran so fast in high heels is beyond my understanding. I know I would not have been able to do it. But anyway, moving on to the next one, we've got Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, the What If connection. Just before Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings came out, the 4th episode of Disney Plus's What If was released. This episode was about Doctor Strange going down the wrong path and absorbing a bunch of mystical beings. He did this to become strong enough to change an absolute point in time. But what's interesting is that right after this episode, Shang-Chi explored the concept of mystical beasts in full detail. So even though the show could not go into detail because of time constraints, anyone who was following the MCU would receive a whole bunch of exposition in the movie. What If told us that mystic beasts came from different dimensions, and then Shang-Chi corroborated that fact. It showed us how the Dweller in Darkness also came from another dimension in the multiverse.
We are the keepers of the Dark Gate, sworn to protect this realm and yours from the evil that's locked behind it.
Now, it will be interesting to see which other beast will show up from the multiverse in Doctor Strange 2. Up next we've got Aladdin, Hidden Mickey. At the end of the first Aladdin, Disney hit a particularly hard to spot Easter egg. As Jasmine's tiger Raja gets transformed back into his full size, there is one frame which is very interesting. In this frame, you can clearly see 2 black ears and a mouse nose superimposed in Raja's face. This is what is known as a hidden Mickey. Disney has a habit of hiding their most popular character in their animated movies, but the aforementioned one is probably one of the hardest to find ever. Up next we've got a Monsters, Inc. and Toy Story crossover.
We got a breach in the perimeter.
When it comes to making self-referencing movies, Pixar is also not far behind. But they have a habit of making their Easter eggs notoriously hard to find. So much so that most of them are not even found after decades of release of a movie. One such Easter egg comes to us from Monsters, Inc. At the start of the movie, a scarer on the scare floor comes running out of a door. We don't know where this door leads to, but we catch a glimpse of the room. The monster says that the kid was scary, and he almost touched the monster. This door is then shredded. What's interesting to note is that if we pause the frame and look at the glimpse of the room, we can see a poster. It is the same poster that can also be seen in Sid's room in Toy Story. Some fans noticed this and the link was made, that Monsters, Inc. visits the universe of Toy Story at the start of the movie. I mean, we can't blame the poor monster. Sid is a very scary kid. After all, he was the villain of Toy Story. Next, we've got one from Marvel's biggest film, Avengers Endgame, Captain Roscoe. This movie had over 400 Easter eggs. The entire movie is a collection of greatest hits compiled into one movie. But here is one that was not noticed by many. In the scene where Steve and Tony go back to the 1970s to get the Tesseract, they steal uniforms to disguise themselves. Cap became a soldier, and the name of his stolen attire was Roscoe. ROSCOE was a character in Marvel Comics who took over the mantle of Captain America in the 70s. Although he was killed by Red Skull shortly after his introduction, Endgame gives a subtle nod to the existence of the same man in the MCU. Clearly, Marvel Studios has a habit of weaving in subtle details in their movies. Now the next one comes from Joker, the Blue Boy. Joker was a masterstroke by an otherwise scattered DC universe. Even though Joker came out amidst DCEU movies, its Easter egg, however, connected it to Tim Burton's Batman from 1989. In that movie, when Jack Nicholson wreaks havoc on the museum, fans can spot Thomas Gainsborough's The Boy in the Blue being spared of the carnage. This same painting can be seen hanging in Joker's apartment in 2019's Joker. Fans get a clear glimpse of the image, in which Joaquin Phoenix's character dances with his mom. Maybe this implies that Joker has a soft corner for this particular piece of art. Well, we don't think that we can agree to that considering the amount of chaos he causes on a daily basis. Continuing the talk of Tim Burton's films, I present the next Easter egg from Beetlejuice, Jack Skellington. Tim Burton is a very skilled creator. His signature style has got him a bunch of adoring fans and a lot of recognition in the industry. Two of his most famous movies are Beetlejuice and The Nightmare Before Christmas. But did you know that Beetlejuice has a reference to The Nightmare Before Christmas? In the scene where Beetlejuice is summoned to wreak havoc on puny humans, fans can notice a doll of the Pumpkin King. The story goes that Burton created the character and the original poem when he was working with Disney, but he only got to make the movie later. No one could have spotted this Easter egg because Beetlejuice released 6 years prior to The Nightmare Before Christmas. But we did. Up next, we have one from No Way Home, Yelena, and the Statue of Liberty. Before No Way Home came out, every Marvel fan was focused on Hawkeye. The reason for this was the fact that Hawkeye was reintroducing some major characters from the MCU. Along with bringing back Kingpin in the finale, the show also reintroduced Yelena to a post-blip MCU. Yelena was brought to New York to hunt down Clint. She also shared with Kate that she wants to see the new and improved Statue of Liberty.
The new and improved Statue of Liberty and the Rockefeller Center?
Given the fact that No Way Home takes place in November 2024 and Hawkeye takes place in December 2024, the new and improved Statue of Liberty exists because of the final fight of No Way Home. This means that Hawkeye acknowledges the destruction of the statue even before the movie came out. The second last Easter egg comes from The Empire Strikes Back, Potato Asteroid.
Check the deflector shield.
It is probably the most iconic movie of the Star Wars franchise. Part of the reason for this is George Lucas's commitment to terrorizing his CGI artists. The story goes that Lucas was very strict with the special effects department. He even made sure that the asteroid chase scene was perfect by having the CGI team make it over and over again. In one of his comments, he even said that the asteroid looked like a potato. So the special effects team decided to get back at Lucas. They added an actual potato to the scene. Lucas did not even notice that prank until he was told about it years later. Fans can still spot the potato in the scene and also a shoe alongside it. That's just crazy, don't you think? Now for the last one, we've got Guardians of the Galaxy, the God Symbolism. Not many people would consider Guardians of the Galaxy to be a religious film, and it's not, for the most part. But James Gunn once shared a deleted image which had the group sitting on a table for supper, much like The Last Supper. Only difference being that Jesus is replaced by Groot and the other characters are replaced by the Guardians. A fan commented that Groot being made of wood was a nice touch, since Jesus was crucified on a wooden crucifix. Gunn told the fan that he was not far off. In the scene where Groot sacrifices himself to save his teammates, fans can see him spreading his arms like a crucifix. Very subtle, Gunn. We know you're the master. Okay, that's all from us. Let us know if you liked this video so we could come up with more amazing Easter eggs for you. And don't forget to check out some more fun content on our channel. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.